Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Movie Chatter. We are back with another movie that came out very recently that a lot of people are very excited about, but are the three of us just as excited? We're about to find out. Lou, how are you doing tonight? Lou, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was pulling up YouTube.
Oh, you're getting your stuff. Well, hold on. That's how Lou is tonight. He's busy and doing things, being productive. Robin, how are you doing tonight?
I am not being productive.
Well, that's okay. You don't have to be.
But I'm doing fantastic. Had a great meal.
Good. That's
right?
That's always it's always a good thing. I had a fried egg sandwich for dinner.
Mm-hmm.
Because
for dinner,
it was easy and
you had breakfast for dinner.
Yeah.
I suppose.
It's not like when, I went to get the egg, the chicken glared at me and said, "Wait, you're saving this for breakfast, right? You're not eating this tonight."
When you reach under there and your hands are full.
Yeah, right. All right. Well, I'm glad that you had a good day. Are you going to tell us what you had for dinner? You're going to leave us in suspense.
I had Utica greens and a beet salad at one of my favorite restaurants.
Wow. That sounds pretty good.
There you go. There you
I
go.
look really washed out. I need to fix the color settings on my camera at some point. Lou, you should be handling this for me. You're the camera guy. You know all about
I'm still
color settings and filters. Yeah, but it's the same. Let's see what I can do here. Whoop, no, that's way too red. I don't know. Oh, well. So, Lou, how are you doing? Other than being preoccupied with the little list of things I asked you to do as we were starting.
Yeah, I'm good now. I got all those things done. And see, the problem is when I bring up YouTube, it's like the audio's on, and it's like, it's delayed by a second. I'm like, oh, which one's talking?
You don't know which one to mute.
Which Eric is talking?
All of the Erics.
I like to mute them.
All of the Erics.
Both, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to tonight's discussion. So
I am looking forward to tonight's discussion too, for numerous different reasons. In part, because I kind of know how this is going to go already, and I love. I do, and I love the episodes where there's some controversy and some back and forth, and I think this is going to be one of those episodes. So tonight we are covering Cruella. This is a prequel movie starring Emma Stone and a bunch of other people. What's her name? Emma Thompson.
Emma Thompson, who used to be married to
her husband. Well, now her ex-husband. I mean.
Yes. One of my favorite directors.
She wised up and divorced him.
Oh, the person who Charlize Theron. No.
No, she's my girlfriend. I wish you would get these things right.
If it weren't such a long list, maybe I'd be able to. I don't know. Okay.
No, actually, I think Emma Thompson.
So she was married to,
anyway,
to Kenneth. What's his face?
I know she dated him.
Really? I didn't know.
I have to see if she was married to him. I believe she was.
Huh. Well, good for her. I mean, I would never land a catch like that. So. Yeah. Also, a few other people. One in particular from a movie we've watched very recently. Joel Fry plays Jasper.
Yes.
One of Estella's assistants. And do you remember where we know Joel Fry from?
Yes.
Because you looked it up. Yes. Because you forgot.
I'm a cheat.
From yesterday.
Yes. From yesterday. Just yesterday, I was saying.
Yesterday was a bad day, so.
Well, my troubles seemed so far.
And with that, we're moving on.
They did.
So, this movie it's a prequel to 101 Dalmatians. So, the main villain in 101 Dalmatians, Cruella DeVille, or Devil.
Just give me 2 seconds.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to take a little umbrage with prequel.
It is labeled as a prequel.
I'm going to go with origin story.
Which is kind of a...
Which is what a prequel is.
It's kind of a prequel.
It's read on the IMDb. It says a live action prequel feature film.
I can take umbrage with IMDb. You said you want a controversy. I'm umbraging.
Empire Strikes Back is not a sequel. It's a follow-up. It's a continuation. Okay, so this origin story, that which has come before 101 Dalmatians. And then its non-sequel, however, follow-up movie, 102 Dalmatians, which I think was a direct-to-video release. Anyhow, so Cruella de Vil, this really, really evil Disney villain. See my rant on Random Chatter about why I think that she's arguably the most evil Disney villain ever. But then we get a movie focusing on her where we are supposed to relate to her and sympathize and care about her plight. And that is, in fact, this movie when she was younger and the struggles that she went to that led her to who she is today. So.
But did they?
Or did they? Yes, that I guess is kind of the point of the movie. So this just came out, a week ago? About a week and a half ago now. It's in theaters.
Something like that.
Pulled in $27 million in the theaters, by the way, while also being simultaneously released on Disney Plus. So that's pretty good.
And pulling down some bucks if you're paying to
$30.
See it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You got a big family, no brainer. If it's just you, it's a little tougher a purchase. But
I've seen it 3 times.
So getting to that point, Robin, just in a nutshell, what did you think of the film?
There aren't very many movies that I will choose to see 3 times in so many weeks.
And half as many weeks at the most.
I'm on the love it side of this spectrum. I could almost recite it for you. And I've done a little bit of history on the whole 101 Dalmatians thing.
Well, that makes one of us.
I bit into this hard.
Yeah, we noticed. I remember I went to see A Quiet Place Part 2, and then you saw Cruella, and you were all about Cruella, texting us how exciting it was. Tim said it was really good. And so I saw it. Wasn't sure if I was going to. I was very uninterested in this movie. It's not my thing. And I have to say I was pleasantly surprised. It was far better than I expected. The story was more interesting. The characters were more interesting. And I enjoyed it. So, Lou, what did you think?
So, you made some of my argument for me already, but I will say this up front. I thought the movie was very well produced.
Okay.
Yeah. Very well acted. Mm-hmm. Great story.
Okay.
Everything about this movie was very, very good. It's just it doesn't work for me as being a movie about a villain that nobody really wants to care about and shouldn't care about. And, call something else. Make it something totally different. They could have been called Sarah. It doesn't have to be Cruella. It doesn't have to be. I know, and she was mean. It doesn't have to be a sequel or a prequel or a what'd you call it, Robin?
An origin story.
Yeah, origin story. To something that we had before. This could be this was its own story, which was fantastic. Mm-hmm. Everything about the crafting of this story I thought was really, really well done. But at the end of it, I'm going, okay, so you want me to care about this character that's pure evil, and I don't really feel like I need to care about her. And we could have made this about anybody else besides Cruella de Vil and had a fantastic story, but they decided to milk it because they got the name and it's their name to use, and they will use it and bring in more money than it would if it was just called Sarah. Sorry my name's Sarah. I'm trying to belittle that name, but
I feel bad for all the Sarahs out there watching. All one of you.
We could call it Karen, maybe. Anyways. That's the thing I don't really get about this, and I brought it up on Random Chatter. We talked the other night that I had the same feeling after this movie that I did after watching the Johnny Depp movie Blow, where he played George Young, the guy who was responsible for importing 99% of all cocaine into the U.S. back in the 80s, and how many lives did he ruin, and people got killed and so forth over the drug trade. And they wanted you to feel bad for the guy at the end of the movie that he couldn't see his daughter because he was in prison. I'm like, He's a drug dealer.
Yeah.
He's a bad guy. It's like, so that's kind of where I left feeling empty after Cruella. I mean, the movie was really, really good. The story was fantastic, but you just didn't need to have it be based on Cruella de Vil.
Yeah, but okay. You know what? I agree with you 100%.
I'm just going to lay back and watch this whole thing play out.
How? Because it is true. I think if it were called Sarah, I wouldn't have been that enthusiastic to see it, but I wanted to see how it was going to play out as Cruella, because truly, if I were being honest, and I've tried this whole week, I'm like, I really want to go into this show saying, look, Cruella de Vil wasn't that bad in 101 Dalmatians.
What?
Well, you know what?
What?
Wait. Just listen to the. But I can't say that because I actually reread, synopses of 101 Dalmatians, and I get why I don't generally watch 101 Dalmatians, because I'm a puppy person, big time, and I hate the thought of anybody even thinking about
ruthlessly
doing harm to
slaughtering them and skinning them to make coat.
Well, it's the same thing we would do to any animal to make a fur coat, right? So any fur
we
coat
typically also eat the meat from it, and it's more of a survival thing, and it's not a vain
true
fashion statement.
Cruella is a compelling character. Didn't bring me to the movie. What brought me to the movie was, well, there's the two Emmas, and I will watch, just like I will watch anything that Kenneth Branagh is in or directs or produces. Big fan of Emma Thompson. They made incredible movies, and yes, they were married. I double checked that. They make incredible movies together, and she is just, I think, an A-list actress. I mean, she's already quote unquote Dame Emma Thompson, so you can't get any higher than that. But in the end, I feel like they did unapologetically make Cruella a sympathetic villain, which makes her a little bit more complicated for me, which means that I will watch the sequel, because they have to go from where they left us to where, if they want to either where 101 Dalmatians picks up, or they can bring her down a completely different path.
Okay.
Because
well, if they do that, that really
bothers you more.
Strengthens my
bothers me
statement
more
of saying make it called Sarah.
Because here's the thing, I liked the movie more than Lou, but then I disliked the sequel way more. We have three completely different opinions on this whole situation here, because there should never be a sequel to this movie ever. There's no reason. The
sequel's a money grab.
The only thing that made her remotely sympathetic, the only thing that made me slightly interested in following her story, was that she started out innocent enough, and then she had to struggle through all of this stuff, and then this getting back at the woman who took everything from her. Once that was done, and then when she, without giving the spoilers and stuff away, she kind of flips at one point. Once she kind of crosses that line, and then she gets back at the person, her story is done. There's nothing about a sequel that is going to make me sympathetic enough to her. I am going to be so far into the camp that Lou is already in, that what they managed to miraculously do in this one to make me care about the character's journey, that's going to be right out the way. It's already right out the window by the end of this movie. Okay, I saw everything I needed to see him done. They come back for a sequel, they're not going to bring me in. When I say, I promise for our listeners, I'm not going to go over the entire rant that I went over on Random Chatter, but in short, I challenge you to come up with another Disney villain in any Disney movie that I am going to think is more evil than this woman. In 101 Dalmatians, she has no motivation for wanting to. I almost want to make it more graphic so that people understand exactly what it is she wants to do. And yet I don't want to disturb people listening, but she wants to slaughter over 100 puppies and take their skins and pelts and make a coat out of it just because she thinks it would look cool. There's not a single, you pick me any other Disney villain and I can think of some motivation that at least is grounded in like some sort of a situation that like, I get it. Okay. Like I used the example of the evil queen in Snow White. Snow White's a rival. She hires a huntsman to go take Snow White out in the woods and kill her. Okay. That's evil. I'd never do it. I understand, like people have been doing that sort of thing for thousands and thousands of years. I get it. Cruella de Vil, you're not going to get me in for a sequel. Whatever little tiny amount of sympathy you could have squozen, whatever. I don't even know anymore. Like, that's how impossible it's going to be to get me to care about this character ever again. You got that little tiny amount out of me to get through this film, and that's it. Why are we doing a sequel other than money? I have no, listen, it's not like they're sitting on a great idea and saying, did we do well enough that we can release this other idea we wanted to do? No, it's execs at Disney saying, how can we do this again? This is incredible. Look at all this money.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Where's the rest of it?
But, you know, and the thing is, if they had, you know, so they wouldn't have had the starting block set as far up as they had with Cruella because it's based on a known commodity. If they had gone with, you know, my idea of Sarah.
You and Sarah. Who is this Sarah person?
I don't know. But if they had gone with another, you know, the same story with a character that wasn't Cruella de Vil, but the exact same story, you would have had the same, you know, like we said, it was a great movie, good acting, good directing. I mean, good story. Then you could put a sequel to that one and go with, because now we're not worrying about this main character that's going to be slaughtering puppies to make a coat because we don't know what she's done. Now you got a wide open arena. You could do a second and third movie about this, and I'd be 100%
because you would be wondering whether she's able to pull herself out of this.
Yeah. Or even keep her as evil and then go with that and say, hey, we can make a movie about an evil person.
Right, but at least in that case, you didn't know that was the inevitable result. Yeah.
Right. No, I mean, that's the thing. I loved the movie. It was a really well done movie. And we talked about this before. The soundtrack was amazing. It worked so well on so many levels. I loved the soundtrack.
Yeah, it was okay.
But
I know I'm in the minority on the soundtrack. Like to me, the soundtrack was well used. Like it was the craftsmanship of the song selection, brilliant. Not my thing, but brilliant. But yeah, I'm with you, Lou. Like it's so hard to watch movies where you have to root for the villain, and so you've got to come up with a way where the villain is like you can see part of yourself in the villain, and in this movie, it's kind of a stretch, and they stretch it as far as they can stretch it, and then by the end of the movie, I mean they let it go as they have to, and now we're going to do a sequel. But we shouldn't harp. I shouldn't harp on the sequel.
Yeah, well. You're right, because we're not.
Yeah, we're talking about this one.
You know, and I forgot about the villain for most of the movie. I really, truly empathized with Cruella, and I was like, okay, and got to the end, I'm like, no, yeah, and that's when I had that Johnny Depp moment there. But throughout it, forgetting about what this character becomes, I was all in. I thought it was a very well put together movie. I was rooting for her, even though. You know, because at that point she wasn't evil, she wasn't bad, she wasn't something that was meant to be a horrific villain in the movie, right? So you were rooting for her, but then at the end, that's when it dawned on me. I'm like, oh wait a minute, why should I root for her?
But wait, so I would go with you guys if this movie were called 101 Dalmatians, the prequel.
You can't.
I would totally be on board with you guys. However, what if you it's sort of like when you read a book and you think, huh, I wonder if that character's story was slightly different, if the ending would be different. And what if this is what Disney is giving us?
You think we're getting into the multiverse?
What if the 101 Dalmatians animated, first of all, it was a children's story that was slightly different than what we got in terms of the Glenn Close live action 101 Dalmatians pure evil woman, Cruella. But what if that was just a place where we just are able to then say, okay, that was that Cruella. What if there's a different Cruella that's coming down the pike for us that has nothing to do with, skinning puppies to make a coat, but can stand on her own as a problematic person? That's on us to shed what we think we know about 101 Dalmatians and learn what we might learn by fantastic writing, amazing production value. I mean, just the artistry of the production in and of itself was fantastic. We could be seeing the birth of a different franchise here that has nothing to do with the 101 Dalmatians.
Then why call it that? Well, why have? I mean,
Sarah,
you're just strengthening my point. Yeah, you're strengthening my point.
Yeah,
but we don't know, and I want to go along.
We do know they're not going to change.
I get what you're saying
for the sake of it, because that's their property.
But it would be such a stretch for them to actually do what like if they were doing that. So if we're kind of rebooting the franchise and it's like, will she or won't she? Then I get it. Then it becomes a compelling story, even more so. And then I want to see where they're going with it. But there's no reason to believe that is what they're doing. And but
we had our will she or won't she moment in this movie.
But we didn't, because we've known for decades. Yeah.
No, we had a moment where they said, you're not gonna use the dogs to make that dress, right? And she's like,
not in this movie.
Not. Well, and so that's what I'm saying. So there was a moment where she could have turned the corner and sealed her fate forever.
Except that was never a possibility, because when I was like 6 years old, I saw what she turns into. That's the thing, though. That result has already been defined for 40 years. More than 40. Yeah, I don't think it came out when I was a kid, right? I mean, a long time. So I get what you're saying. And if they wanted to go in a direction where they were going to open up the franchise in such a way that maybe we do go in a different direction, we don't know what we're getting, then that's okay. But we do have to acknowledge that we know exactly what the result down the road is going to be. When she gets older, when she gets to be Emma Thompson's age, that is the person that she becomes. Like, we know, because Disney has already shown us the answer. If the question were still open, I would emphatically agree with you. And I think that maybe I'd be interested in a sequel. And even then, the whole sequel thing aside, this movie was good. And I did not think I was going to be able to care at all about the journey of this character. I watched it only because you liked it so much, Tim seemed to like it, that I knew it was inevitable we were going to cover it on the podcast. I mean, honestly, I covered it because it's new, it's a discussion point, and we have a podcast, so we got to talk about it. I was surprised to enjoy it as much as I did, and I legitimately enjoyed it, and I would recommend it to people. So to that point, this was a really good movie, and they did what I thought was impossible, at least for me. And the fact that they couldn't for Lou doesn't surprise me at all, like, because that's kind of the camp I was in, and still mostly am.
You know, and I was trying to think of other movies like this that have the same problem.
Me too.
Right? I mean, one of the ones that comes to mind was Joker.
Yeah.
But they never tried to make me feel bad for Joker. I mean, you understood his plight, you understood what was going on, but I never felt like I had to feel bad for in root for him. I mean, it was like we knew where that was going. We knew where the darkness was coming from, but I never felt like I had to be like yeah, this guy's a really good guy, and he said, oh, he just has some bad luck. No,
But I didn't like the movie because of that. Because I feel like, so you're right. They never made us think we should, but because they didn't even bother to do that, I didn't. I appreciate the craft. The movie
not
was
everybody's going to like a movie
brilliantly crafted, and I can from someone who, I'm not a film student, but like as someone who is a casual student of film, I loved it, but I hated it as an audience member.
Not everyone's going to like a movie about a dark character or a dark story, and I must say I don't mind a story that's dark. I don't mind. I mean, I don't have to have every movie ending with a happy ending.
No.
I kind of like it when things don't end with a happy ending.
But name some movies, and Robin, you may do a better job of this than I can at least. But name some movies where the protagonist is completely unlikable and is a bad guy, like legitimately bad, where it was still a good movie. Like we covered Uncut Gems. Couldn't stand that movie in large part because like that guy deserved everything bad that happened to him. And Joker, he didn't deserve what happened to him, but I couldn't empathize with him either. What are some other movies with bad guys as the protagonist? I haven't seen Maleficent, so I can't comment to that.
I haven't either.
Though people say it's really good.
It's fantastic.
I was also kind of going down the path of the Star Wars prequels because we know what Anakin becomes, but that story was different too. It wasn't the same. I mean, he is evil, but we know he's redeemed in the original trilogy. So, and
you can argue that it's as much about the Jedi and about Obi-Wan, and about Padme. You're right. I mean, that's close. But you know what? I never cared much for Anakin for the same reason.
Okay.
I didn't care much for Anakin because he was poorly acted.
I'm going to say poorly directed, but
yeah, I'll say the same. But anyways, I'm trying to think of other movies where we have a bad person that we're trying to root for, right? I mean, there's not many because it's hard to do. It's hard to make
people don't even attempt it often.
Right. I mean, it's hard to make somebody like a.
What about the Godfather series?
Never watched it.
Yeah.
I try not to admit that to people publicly on podcasts, but yeah, I never seen it.
You just did.
You did. Yeah. Just saying.
But I'll keep coming back to Blow. I thought Blow was a fantastic movie. I mean, again, good acting, good direction. But again, I got to the end of the movie and I thought to myself, you're trying to feel bad for this guy, and I know he wants to see his daughter. He's dying. He's in jail, and it's like he's a bad guy. I just can't feel bad for the guy, So,
who I did feel for in this movie, and this brings me to an example of a film that I think does work. So I felt for Jasper in this movie, and the other guy, I forget his name.
Horace.
Yeah. So I felt for those two a lot. And I think the movie did a really good job of making those two characters relevant with some depth. They're the stereotypical Disney villain henchmen. In the cartoons, they're cardboard. And here, they have a lot of depth. But see, that is how you do this movie. So going back to a movie where you have someone who's basically a bad guy as a protagonist, I think of the Dredd movie with Carl Urban, not the Sylvester Stallone one. And the movie wasn't about, like, Dredd wasn't even, he was kind of the protagonist, but the person the audience was supposed to latch onto as their avatar throughout the story was his partner, the freshman partner. And you're watching what she goes through during the story of this movie and her kind of having to deal with him and then also deal with the situation. And it made for what I argue is a really good movie. But you never had to like him. You liked her instead, and you felt for what she had to go through while dealing with him. And it worked. And so what worked for me in this movie was as much the two of the Jasper and the other guy whose name I still can't remember, even though you just said it, Horace. Jasper and Horace, I think, made this movie a lot better. If they'd done less with those two,
Mm-hmm.
it would have hurt this movie a lot for me.
Yeah, that they rounded this movie out, and I think brought the humanity out in Cruella. It kept Estella, sort of to the fore. Artie was a perfect match for her.
Mm-hmm.
And so this trio of characters, I think you'll see some push and pull in whatever they do with the character of Cruella from now on. And don't forget, from my perspective, the villain of this movie, the Baroness, is still very much alive. And so just because she's gone away for a little while doesn't mean that she will not come back.
Yeah, but then it'll just be... and it's just more of the same.
Just saying.
All right.
Emma Thompson is writing the sequel.
That helps me not at all.
Yeah, she's one of the writers.
I have less of a crush on her than you do, so like that doesn't sell the movie for me.
You never saw Pirate Radio.
I did see Pirate Radio.
Oh, okay.
And I liked it.
What? Yeah.
But no, anyway, so again, aside from the sequel, Cruella, we would recommend it, yes or no? Robin?
Oh, okay. Yes.
Lou?
Yeah, I would recommend it. I mean, like I said, I thought the movie was well done.
Now, let's go a step beyond that, though, because I would recommend it too. But here's the real question that I know people are asking. Is it worth the $30 to get on Disney Plus? Because I think, it's not, if you're going out to theaters, it's not that hard to decide whether or not you would go see this in a theater. But the $30 to get to see it at home, not in a theater environment, seems like a big price point. So let's say if you are in a household of 2 people, because if you're in a household of more than that, you probably got kids and they're going to want to see it. And so it's a lot easier decision. But for the people who are having a rough time with this, single people or just 2 people, yes or no?
Well, I would. Yeah, I would. Because like I said, I've seen it 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's an important point too. You see it in the theater, you get to see it once. You buy it in Disney Plus, you can watch it repeatedly. And I would say that I would not be interested in watching this movie a second time. I would, without hesitation, watch this movie a second time if I were watching it with someone else. Like if I had a friend come over, they'd never seen it before, they wanted to see it. Yeah, I could sit through this again and thoroughly enjoy it. I'm not going to go out of my way to do it. But Lou, $30, yes or no?
I guess I would say yes. And I would just categorize that as $30 for me and my wife to watch it at home is the same as $30 for us to go see it in the theater, because it's around $15 a movie ticket for us in the bigger theaters with the nicer screens. And I for this kind of movie, it'd be tough to see it in the theater anyway, because it's not the kind of thing I think deserves a big screen treatment all the time. Yeah. So I could get away with it at home.
Right.
And yeah, I think this movie could take advantage of the big screen. Okay, I think.
Yeah, but it's not like an epic, action movie that I think really needs to be on a big screen. So I guess I would say if it's your kind of movie, meaning the Disney fare or this kind of thing, definitely worth $30. If it's not, if it's kind of movie that you wouldn't see in a theater yourself, save your money and wait till it's on Disney Plus for free. Okay, because it will be.
That's fair. Well, there you have it, everybody. That is our review and recommendation for Cruella. Now we need to talk about what we're going to watch next. Now,
I thought we already discussed that.
Well, we discussed it. Did we decide? Robin said I got to pick a musical.
I thought we did, and I thought that's what we were picking.
So here's what I picked. Now, In the Heights is coming out soon too.
Well, that's
few
what I thought
weeks.
we were
Well, it's not
thinking.
out
I'm
yet.
sorry. The 11th,
No,
right?
is it? I thought it was like 16th or something.
You're gonna make me watch that?
Really? You don't want to watch that? Are you like?
What?
All kidding aside, you're serious?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Lou, are
Okay.
you as shocked as I am?
I'm
watched
surprised.
Hamilton,
I thought
right?
For sure.
Mm-mm.
Was that a yes or no?
Nope. No.
You didn't watch Hamilton?
I had no desire to watch Hamilton.
I kind of want to cover Hamilton now. I really do.
Okay.
You're not even willing to give Hamilton a try, really?
I mean, if we're gonna cover it, sure.
Even I watched Hamilton.
Even Lou watched it. Robin, you know how much Lou and I have not only just complained about musicals, we have made it an ongoing running joke. It's like a meme on this show how much we hate musicals. And yet, not only have Lou and I both voluntarily and separately watched Hamilton, I've watched it like 4 times and
great, all
downloaded the
that.
soundtrack and then watched it like a few extra times in part. And my son voluntarily sat through at least the first hour of it.
It's a good boy.
Well, is he? You don't know because you don't know anything about whether the movie's
I
any
feel
good.
bad. I feel like I'm not PC anymore.
You should. That's kind of what
we're.
we're getting at. Like that's my
know.
intention here. Yeah.
I know.
Okay. All right. Well, that's not the musical I picked out. I wanted to go for something that's got some pedigree, as does Hamilton, to be clear. But so I went. So the creators of the musical I have in mind: Tony Award winners, multiple Tony Award winners, and Emmy winners, and Grammy winners. I think the only thing they have not won is an Oscar, and I'd have to double check that.
Or the World Series.
I'm
Yeah.
talking about like, wow, that was some loud thunder.
Sorry.
No, I'm talking the Emmy,
Wow.
Grammy, Oscar, Tony, the EGOT.
Yeah, we know
okay.
them. I had them to
World
dinner.
Series. Okay. So, multiple award winners for each of those. This is one of their early musicals, and I thought this might be a good. Are you game? Are you willing to take the challenge?
Tell me
Robin?
what it is.
It's hard to say without knowing what it is.
Yeah,
She's already
it's hard to
answered,
say
so
without
I'm just
knowing.
milking this for all I can. So, it's called Cannibal the Musical by Emmy, Grammy, and
on.
Tony Award winners Trey Parker and Matt Stone.
Oh God.
No, I hate them too.
It is their college film project. So production quality, almost as good as an early iPhone. So there we go, because you couldn't be bothered to watch Hamilton, Robin. Now you
All right, I'll
and
watch
Lou and all
Hamilton.
of our audience have to watch Cannibal the Musical, Trey Parker and Matt Stone's film
So
school
I think
project.
that In the Heights is coming out on June 10th, so we should, being timely, we should probably watch that and do it.
Yeah, let's do that.
Cannibal the Musical, set during the gold rush and based on a true story. Believe it or not, based on a true
It's
story.
from 1993.
Came out in 1993. Yes.
The sole survivor of an ill-fated mining expedition tells us how his taste for gold was replaced by that of human flesh.
Or was it?
I'm just reading
Yep.
what the tagline
All
is
right,
here.
Robin. You agreed that if I picked out a musical, we could watch it. I picked one out. I even
Robin,
said I wouldn't
Robin.
pick out South Park the movie, and I
Robin,
didn't.
Lou,
Robin, I had no idea this was
You
coming.
committed.
you knew. You knew.
I had no, Robin, I had no
That's
idea.
why you called me honey.
Yeah.
I thought we were doing In the Heights. I really did.
I thought we were doing.
We are doing In the Heights.
too.
Just think about how much
Okay,
better
let's
In the
do
Heights
In
will
the
be
Heights.
after watching Cannibal the Musical.
Okay, now, you know how you get that when you go to IMDb and you pull up the movie
Uh-huh.
you're looking for, and it gives you the more like this down the bottom.
Yeah.
That kind of tells me what I should be worried about and not worried about.
Uh huh.
We have, let's see. Orgasmo.
Well, that's because that's also made by Trey Parker and Matt Stone.
It's basically all stuff.
Yeah, well, because otherwise, like, nobody's heard. Look at the Rotten Tomato score for it. Let me pull it up here.
Yeah. Orgasmo, Basketball.
Yep, another movie they did. Cannibal
Warped.
the Music. Okay,
The Spirit of Christmas.
that was the short. That was kind of the test for South Park. That's what South Park was. So 82% audience score. 82%. You know how many movies we cover that don't get an 82% audience score? 63. So it's still fresh. It passed that fresh threshold, which for a film school project.
It's ready to turn though.
Yeah.
It's like,
You haven't even seen it, Lou. You haven't even seen it.
From going bad.
Do I have to take up drinking in order to see this?
So I would say yes, but the problem is, Robin, if you saw this drunk, you would not be able to tear it apart with the same level of eloquence when you then do get on the show. Also, my favorite song from the musical, Let's Build a Snowman, which I just want to say predates Frozen by so long. Okay, so yeah, Cannibal the Musical, and then after that, In the Heights, and then maybe we'll circle back around and do Hamilton. We'll actually do 3 musicals.
I don't think our audience wants to watch Cannibal the
3
Musical.
musicals in a
No.
row. Wow.
No,
Here's what our audience will
musicals.
want. Our audience will tune in just to watch the two of you suffer through that episode, because even if they don't watch the movie, the podcast episode will be gold. See what I did there? Because it's a gold rush.
So Robin,
it happens during the...
Just out of curiosity, I searched on Google for Cannibal the Musical, the drinking game.
Of course you did.
Oh, good.
Take a drink every time someone says, I can't even pronounce this,
Spadoinkle.
Spadoinkle,
Yes.
okay. Take a drink every time they say the name Leanne.
Well, that's the guy's horse. I mean, come on. You have to... Please.
Take a drink every time someone dies, they show a dead body.
Well, yeah. Yeah. No,
Take a drink every time Swan acts overly cheerful.
Well, cheerful character. So,
Take a drink every time Noon alludes to wanting to get laid.
yeah, well, a horny character. I mean, yeah, characters. They each have qualities.
Robin, this is going to be
It is
rough.
going to be the best podcast episode ever. Ever.
Better than when we did the Team America World
Oh,
Police.
this will be so much better than that. I still haven't made you watch Kung Pao Enter the Fist, and you've been delaying, and you have owed me that as my birthday present for like the last 5 years in a row, Lou. So this is what you get. I'm not just punishing Robin. To be clear, you're on the hook too. So, yes, we'll be doing Cannibal the Musical, and then we will be moving into what will legitimately be one of the more talked about movies of the summer, In the Heights. And then, Robin, I still would recommend you watch Hamilton.
We used to make these decisions.
We
as a
used
group.
to.
You used to.
I asked permission. Robin said yes. Lou.
I didn't mean this.
No, you didn't mean this.
No,
I worded
didn't.
my question very carefully.
Leland, save me.
I thought you liked villains. We just had a whole episode talking about one.
Leland loves me.
Uh-huh.
That's all that matters.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of Movie Chatter. Definitely don't miss next week's episode. Just saying. All right.
Wait, can I miss next week's episode?
No.
Yeah,
No.
I'm gonna be sick.
I feel
You may
like
be
the
sick,
cold
but you're going to be
coming
sick on camera.
I might have COVID. I'm vaccinated, but I might
Hey,
have
you can
COVID.
quarantine and still appear on the episode. See, got this all planned out. But that's going to do it for this episode of Movie Chatter. Tune in next Tuesday
I'm
night. And
having
again, you don't even
company.
have to watch the movie. Just come hang out with us. We got you. In the meantime, go to randomchatter.com/YouTube to subscribe on YouTube. Hit the like button.
I have a court date.
Hit the notification button. What was that, Robin?
I have a court
You have a
date.
court date.
I have company
Yeah,
coming.
we can move it to a different night.
Wait,
And my
That's okay.
puppy's
It'll be
sick.
worth
He
it.
just said- You just said we don't have to watch the movie. We can just hang out.
It's the next movie we cover, so it's going to be a lot of episodes of hanging out until you finally cave in and watch the movie. Just saying. Check out our other shows over at randomchatter.com. And until then, that's going to do it. So take care, everybody.